I guess we'll start with this one. This is a continuation video. We had watched episode 1 before, and you guys know I love epic stories, so this is the Battle of Verdun, Chile, France fight back. Yeah, we had watched episode 1, which was the beginning of the Battle of Verdun, the initial bombardment, the capture of Fort Douaumont, I think, was it? Yeah, like the strong fort that was just taken because there was no real defense. So yeah, let's see what happened next. I mean, again, you guys know I'm French. I should know more about Verdun, but I don't know the details, right? I mean, I know it was a bloody battle and, you know, France held on, but I don't really know the inner working of the day-by-day happenings. So let's learn about it.
The 21st of February, 1916. 1,000 German guns open fire on French positions around Verdun. These are the opening salvos of one of World War I's deadliest battles.
I get spooked by like firecrackers.
At Verdun, traditional military strategy gives way to the grim logic of attrition. Kill the enemy faster than you lose your own men, and you'll crush his will to fight.
Insane.
The theory will be tested to the limit. Verdun becomes a giant meat grinder, consuming 1,000 lives a day for 300 days.
I can't do maths, but that's a lot.
The battle will be immortalized for its horror and the extraordinary suffering
like
of troops.
600,000 on both sides or something.
But it is also a dramatic tale of leadership, determination, and heroism against a backdrop of emerging technologies and evolving military doctrines. This is the story of Verdun, 1916.
The subtitles are not matching what he's saying. Battle of Verdun. Episode 2.
2 months have passed since the initial German attack at Verdun. And by April, the fighting has escalated into the grim battle of attrition that Falkenhayn claims he'd always planned. A multitude of vicious, smaller struggles take place in the ravines, across the slopes, and for every scrap of high ground.
Which at this point, like, after 2 months of like 1,000 guns bombarding the place, like, is there even anything left, right, that looks like a ravine or anything human anymore? I assume everything is like a sea of like rubbles and earth like turned onto itself.
The ground is crucial for one main reason: to provide observation points for the heavy guns. The battlefields of World War I are dominated by artillery. Raining high explosive and shrapnel shells on the enemy, it is by far the greatest killer. In the first 6 months of the Battle of Verdun, up to 37 million shells are fired.
That's insane.
By one estimate, 100 million will be fired by its end.
I wonder, like, the logistic of it. Last time we talked about how they built many, like, railway lines to the gun position. Like, what happens to all those spent shells and casings? Like, do they actually just clean them up by sending them back the way they'd come?
The heaviest German guns are the 420mm howitzers, the stationary Gamma-Gerät, and the mobile Minenwerfer-Gerät, better known as Big Bertha. Only 22 are ever built. 13 are sent to Verdun.
Look at this freaking thing.
Big Bertha weighs 43 metric tons, with a barrel 16 feet long. Its shells weigh more than a ton and have a range of nearly 6 miles.
How do you even load the shell?
With a high trajectory and delayed fuse, they can smash through 40 feet of concrete and earth before exploding.
12 meters of concrete.
Each Big Bertha has a crew of 240 men. Readying one for action is a mammoth task, and once assembled, their rate of fire is just 8 shells per hour. They are triggered by a long lanyard, protecting the crew in case a shell explodes in the barrel, and from the concussive shock wave, which can shatter windows 2 miles away.
Are you really protected? I mean, I think we all know that most people, not even like shelled, but the one firing the artillery back in World War II, could get shell shock. So I can't even imagine what this fucking thing, like being the guy operating this. I mean, I can't even imagine the freaking, like, I'm sure a lot of like ears were bleeding.
In the early weeks of the battle, the French cannot match the firepower of the Big Berthas. But Verdun does ensure that many more French guns are quickly brought to Verdun. One of their heavier guns is the vintage De Bonge 155mm long cannon, developed in the 1870s.
It's a bit old, no?
By the outbreak of war, it is considered obsolete compared to the more mobile and famous French 75. But 155s are still used in fortified emplacements around Verdun, and as the battle intensifies, they prove indispensable.
I guess it's better than
Newer
missing.
versions have metal wheel tracks, which improve mobility over rough ground.
And it's kind of crazy to see the evolution of epic history. I mean, this level of like 3D, this looks like an actual game. Company of Heroes or something. Thank you, Clément. The day is fine. How about you? Yeah, just big evolution for the channel. I mean, this is video game quality 3D.
The De Bonge is dwarfed by the German heavies, but its lighter shells have a superior range of nearly 8 miles and faster firing rate of 1 shell per minute. Experienced 5-man crews are capable of exceptional accuracy and specialize in knocking out German artillery with counter-battery fire.
That's crazy. I wonder how many people get hurt by the recoil of the gun. Must be a lot. It can almost only be called murder, but not war. It seems like we are chased at here only to wait for death, without being able to move. German soldier, August 1916. Well,
Conditions for soldiers at Verdun are nightmarish. The enemy is rarely seen due to incessant shelling. Human remains lie scattered across the blasted landscape. The stench of death drifts across the battlefield. The trenches have been flattened by bombardment, so men shelter in craters, linked together to form new makeshift lines. Lucky soldiers find refuge in the battered forts where there are medical aid posts. Ironically, forts like Douaumont, which the French had considered expendable, hold up well to the shelling.
which is surprising because you just talked about the Big Bertha, which can penetrate like 12 meters of concrete. But I guess it's hard to actually aim for one of the spots.
But soldiers on both sides are terrified, exhausted, and desperate for food and water. Streams are contaminated, village wells are destroyed, and sickness is rife. The French army is better organized to endure this miserable existence, due to General Pétain's policy of unit rotation, known as Noria, the water wheel. It ensures French units are regularly withdrawn from the front line for rest and to prevent their complete physical and psychological destruction.
Yeah, I think there's this saying that, like, at the end, almost every soldier in the French army was at Verdun at some point, so everybody shared that experience.
It means about 3/4 of the French army serve at Verdun at one time or another. J'ai fait Verdun, I did Verdun, is the expression they use. In contrast, German units are left on the front line for longer, leading to the steady erosion of numbers and morale.
And the other one was to attack too. I mean, the other one was sent on the attack against defenses, basically. So it's pretty insane.
General Pétain is also attentive to logistics. The main French supply route from the south is a scene of constant activity.
La Voie
As a
Sacrée.
lifeline for the defense of Verdun, it becomes known as La Voie Sacrée, the sacred way. La Voie Sacrée is a conveyor belt feeding
Such a tiny
Verdun's
road too.
insatiable appetite for men, ammunition, and supplies. Up to 15,000 tons of supplies and 15,000 troops arrive daily. Army trucks travel night and day, passing every few seconds. Any that break down are simply pushed off the road to keep the route clear.
It's such an insane concept.
10,000 laborers work to maintain the road surface. Falkenhayn is increasingly concerned at the scale of German losses. By April, already more than 100,000 men. He even considers breaking off the attack. On
So what's stopping him? Because he's not winning.
the 8th of May, his troops suffer a disaster at Fort Douaumont. An ammunition store catches fire. Flames sweep through the tunnels, killing nearly 700 men.
Wow.
But there are also hard-fought gains for the Germans that month, as they finally take the high ground at Côte 304, then Le Mort-Homme.
This name is interesting because Le Mort-Homme doesn't sound right. Because it would be, like, for it to make sense, it would be La Mort-Homme, because des is feminine in French, but le is like masculine, so it's a weird name. Or maybe it's like old French that I don't really know. I mean, something like that. Yeah.
On the French side, General Pétain has overseen a careful, methodical defensive strategy, while striving to avoid unnecessary casualties. He is now promoted to command the French Central Army Group. He is succeeded at Verdun by General Robert Nivelle. Nivelle is a proponent of the famous French offensive spirit and will not be content to merely hold off the Germans.
Well, Verdun has become a symbol. What is the strategic value? Most don't know, but the whole world has its eye fixed on a single point on the map. Arthur Meillet le Gaulois. The furthest point.
The French have already made one failed attempt to retake Fort Douaumont. On the 22nd of May, Nivelle oversees a second attempt. After a heavy bombardment, the French advance. Despite heavy losses, one French regiment makes it into the fort. But it is soon cut off by German artillery fire and counterattacks. 1,000 survivors surrender. In total, the attacking French division suffers nearly 50% casualties.
I mean, they're like really great at defense, this fort, right? If you want an idea of like how they look like in Battlefield 1, there's a map for like Fort Vaux, one of the big forts of the place, and actually, you know, playing it or like walking around it, yeah, it is made to be like a massive pain to take. So to say, retake if you lose it, you can really easily tell like how much of a pain it is and how, I mean, like many defensive things, right? Like it's great when you have it, but if you lose it, it becomes like, you know, 2 times worse, I guess.
Falkenhayn receives new estimates of French losses in the battle so far. They are wildly optimistic, indicating the French have lost 500,000 men and are losing 3 or 4 men to every German.
Who's saying that?
In fact, German and French losses are much closer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure by the end of the battle it's like 600k to 600k.
But Falkenhayn, encouraged that he may be winning the battle of attrition after all, plans fresh attacks. His first objective is the smaller Fort Vaux, which overlooks German supply lines.
I'm just talking about it.
After a week of fighting through a small valley, German infantry reached the fort on the 2nd of June. 500 French defenders, driven down into the fort's tunnels, endure gas and flamethrower attacks and hand-to-hand fighting in the dark.
I can't even imagine.
After 5 days, they run out of water and are forced to surrender. The Germans' next objective is the ridge running from Thiaumont through Fleury to Souville. Souville is one of the last observation points still in French hands east of the river, and the last major defense before Verdun itself. On the 22nd of June, German artillery blasts 100,000 gas shells into this sector, targeting French batteries.
The invention of phosgene
and diphosgene, deadly new compounds against which French gas masks are only partially effective.
I was watching a video about this recently. Fritz Obert is the guy who invented, like, he's a German scientist, and before World War I he invented like the way to make synthetic fertilizer, basically. You know, which is like one of the biggest discovery in like scientific history, right? Because it made it that we can produce food in the world at like much faster rate, and that's why, you know, we can have like billions of people today. But also by the time of World War I, he basically shifted his research to helping the German war machine. One of them was like gunpowder, so they, you know, because they didn't have like specific resources, I think, to make, you know, gunpowder, so he found another way to do it. But another way was gas. He created like many of the early gas, and as he was just talking about, also the concept of like firing multiple gas. So like the first one is a gas made to break the filter and the mask of the soldier, and then the second one to kill them. Bunchisen, I think it was called. This strategy, it's pretty fucked up.
Artillery crews choke despite their masks. French guns in the gas field fall silent. Heavy phosgene lingers into the night, sinking into ravines and shell craters, preventing resupply. The German assault begins the next day at dawn. They quickly take the ouvrage de Thiaumont, and Fleury village, which will change hands 16 times over the following weeks.
Not surprised.
The Germans are now just 4 miles from Verdun, but this will prove the high watermark of their advance.
It's actually showing it on this visual, but I'm guessing, like, at this point the artillery of the German is in range. Like, the Verdun city itself has probably been shelled to pieces.
Nivelle sends a message to his troops. Ils ne passeront pas. They shall not pass. The French hold the Ouvrage de Froide-Terre, and Fort Souville, the last bastion before Verdun itself, stands firm. In July, the focus of the Western Front suddenly shifts northwest to the River Somme. Here, the British and French unleash their major summer offensive against the Germans.
But it's a disaster, the classic.
The attack has been brought forward to relieve the pressure on Verdun, and both sides have already diverted troops here in anticipation of the battle to come. As the casualties mount, further reinforcements will soon be needed. Throughout the year, criticism of Falkenhayn's handling of the war has been mounting. Finally, in August, he is replaced as Germany's supreme commander by Field Marshal von Hindenburg.
Yep.
He calls off all further attacks at Verdun. The intensity of the battle subsides, but not for long.
Madness. Verdun became the regiment's Golgotha. Physical and mental agony, superhuman exertion, incomprehensible endurance, depression, madness, doom. That was the summer and autumn of 1916 at Verdun. What is Golgotha? I feel like I've heard the name, but... Saying something in the Bible, maybe. Counterattack.
October 1916. The German threat to Verdun has eased considerably. But General Nivelle, a commander brimming with self-confidence, is determined to recapture the lost forts. It is a question of honor.
Fuck off.
On the 21st of October, 650 French guns open fire on the German lines. The French arsenal now includes 2 huge 400mm rail guns, nicknamed Alsace and Lorraine, the 2 regions lost to Germany in 1871. Their task is to smash the French forts in German hands. After a 2-day bombardment, 6 French divisions advance, supported by a rolling artillery barrage. 400mm shells crash into Fort Douaumont. They penetrate the walls, collapse tunnels, and ignite an ammunition store.
Elle emmerde that fort, hein?
The attack on the fort is led by French and Senegalese colonial infantry, specially organized and trained for the assault.
I was thinking about Battlefield 1, and I'm pretty sure it's not at Verdun, but some of the missions touch on the colonial troops, and it's pretty interesting. I recommend it. I recommend Battlefield 1 for the campaign. I mean, you might think as Battlefield as just, over-the-top multiplayer shooter, but Battlefield 1 is really good with its campaign where you basically play as a lot of different soldiers in different campaigns, and different lesser-known stories, I guess, of World War I.
These troops finally retake Fort Douaumont and the surrounding villages, though nothing of them now remains. These aerial photographs show Fort Douaumont before the battle, and by the time of its recapture, just a faint outline amid a sea of shell craters and trenches.
And I mean, this only shows like the outside, right? You see the fort is mostly underground, but I imagine most of it is collapsed, yeah. It's insane though, it just looks like, you know, like someone is making like a farm field and just, you know, turn the earth basically. Insane.
German soldiers, exhausted and demoralized by long periods at the front, surrender in droves. On the 2nd of November, the French retake Fort Vaux, which the Germans have abandoned. The last major offensive comes on the 15th of December. The French advance another 2 miles, taking thousands more German prisoners. West of the Meuse, the Germans still hold Côte 304 and Le Morton.
30-40 minutes. I mean, I can definitely wait, no worry, I'll just switch things around. You're good.
But in the east, the front lines are close to where they'd been at the start of the battle, 10 months ago.
All that for naught.
The Battle of Verdun is finally over. The famous city has been saved.
Okay, so I guess the city itself wasn't bombarded, the artillery never got close enough.
But the cost has been staggering.
The mill on the Meuse, soldiers' nickname for Verdun. Legacy. Okay, so this is the last episode. I don't know why I thought the series would be like 6 episodes or something, that it would really go almost on a day-to-day retelling of things, you know, but still. This was more that a bit more that I've seen covered. To be honest, I've watched the Time Goes to Story in the 9 Days series on World War I, you know, which goes week by week, so I guess I got a lot more coverage on Verdun there, but it's been a while already, so I'd forgotten a lot.
The human cost of the Battle of Verdun is extraordinary. Exact numbers are impossible to establish, but one estimate puts French casualties at 377,000, with more than 40% of those killed. German losses are slightly less, but still vast.
Yes, it's about 600,000 combined. I guess my number was wrong.
The battle's final death toll is around 300,000. On average, 1,000 men killed every day for 300 days. And yet neither side has advanced more than 5 miles. Strategically, the battle...
What is the numbers for Stalingrad in comparison? Which is the other, like, you know, World War I, World War II famous battle for like its insanity. Battle of Stalingrad. Axis casualty during the Battle of Stalingrad are estimated to have been around 800,000. And the Soviet is at least 1.1 million. Yeah. Insanity that Verdun happened like 20 to 25 years before, and you know, the world still went into something like 3, 4, 5 times worse, you know? Yeah. Hello.
It's a failure and defeat for Germany. Falkenhayn's plan to exhaust the French army and break French morale has not worked.
I mean, I don't know if it's fully true it didn't work out for Germany, right? But, you know, this attack and the response from the French side, as well as other battle, where, you know, the generals in France were like being stupid and just sending men to like death in no man's land, in stupid charge, in honor attack and stuff like that. And Verdun was a big part of it as well. That led to a lot of mutiny in the army. Obviously, it didn't really break and help Germany, but, you know, it worked a little bit at like messing things up.
In fact, it is Germany's losses in 1916, at Verdun, and the Somme that have real strategic significance. They greatly increased the pressure on the German army, fighting an enemy with greater resources, to which will soon be added those of the United States. It is the Allied strategy of attrition by land and sea that steadily erodes Germany's ability and will to fight on. For France, Verdun becomes a famous and symbolic victory, a testament to the courage and sacrifice of the poilu, the ordinary French soldier.
Yeah, World War I veterans are called the poilu in France, which means the aérie basically. It's an affectionate term, like it's not disrespectful, it's just, I mean, maybe they were calling themselves that and then it took on popular culture, I guess. But yeah, there isn't any around anymore, I think. But obviously highly respected, and I said before, but you know, you can go anywhere in France to the smallest village and there might be in the town square some kind of memorial to some of the soldiers from that town that were killed in World War I. Sometime in World War II as well, but mostly World War I, yeah. Like I used to live in a pretty small village in the south of France, but if you go to the town square and you know, this village had like 500 people max, but in town square there was like a mural with the names of all the soldiers that died in World War I, and there was 50 names or something, yeah.
For many, it becomes a testament to the madness of war. More than a century later, the landscape, still scarred by battle, serves as a memorial to the dead of both sides. Douaumont ossuary contains the remains of 130,000 unidentified French and German soldiers. It is now a symbol of reconciliation and shared history between France and Germany.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd say for the most part, the relationship between Germany and France is pretty good these days. I had a commenter recently, you know, from Germany, you know, I think commenting on that, maybe my first reaction to the first Verdun episode, and, you know, celebrating how these days, you know, both of our country have much more logic as far as war goes, and you know, for the most part, I would say, you know, I don't know if it's like people have forgiven each other, right? We are totally different generation that had nothing to do with what happened back then, but you know, it's kind of beautiful, obviously, how things are today between the two countries, and you kind of wish that all the countries that war even today would just stop their bullshit and, you know, reconciliate, I guess.
No other battleground more starkly reflects the horror and futility of war.
I mean, Stalingrad, maybe?
Did you know that one of the battle's heroes was a courageous French carrier pigeon named Le Vaillant? He delivered a desperate plea for reinforcements as Fort Vaux was being overrun.
Wasn't there a story like this a bit later too with the American, the last battalion, that was surrounded during an advance on the German? They were surrounded, and the captain had like a carrier pigeon that even got, I think, his foot blown off, but managed to deliver the message and save the last battalion. There's a Sabaton song about it.
Sadly, Le Vaillant perished carrying out his mission and was posthumously awarded the Croix de Guerre for exceptional bravery.
Nice.
It goes to show that, historically, swift and secure communications have come in many forms, from pigeons to fiber optic cables that deliver messages in milliseconds. But new technologies bring new threats.
I guess this is an ad, obviously, but that's a really good start to an ad. You get me interested. But I'll pause here, yeah? Okay. Well, again, I didn't know how many episodes they were gonna do about Verdun, but that was great. Definitely a pretty great two-parter. And even though, again, I had seen the Time Ghost coverage with Berwick of all this was a great reminder. I feel like I learned some new stuff too, so great video, very epic story. They never disappoint. Never. Really impressed with the 3D stuff they have too. Yeah. Amazing video as always. Looking forward to more from them, as always. But yeah, all I can say is rest in peace to everybody who fought at the battle, right? Because 99% of the people who fought at the battle was like French and German soldiers, who are literally ordered to go die basically with no other way but to do it. Both sides, The true evil is the commanders, right? The generals, the people who start the war, right?